Oh man, well, her taking me outside and pushing me on the swing set and combing my hair, and singing to me.
Got the ashy elbow. Look, like, you gotta do the old school way. All right, welcome back to Mind Over Emotions, the podcast. I'm your host, Herc. If you haven't yet, go ahead and follow us on Instagram at Mind Over Emotions underscore VDP. Follow us on TikTok as well at Mind Over Emotions, the podcast. If you'd like to come on the podcast, share your story with hopes to inspire, motivate, and encourage other people to keep going on through your story and through the things you've been through, go ahead and shoot me an email to mindoremotionsthepodcast@gmail.com. As always, make sure that you find somebody that you could talk to because talking is healthy. Talking is the way to, begin to heal. Because a lot of people, a lot of times, go through their life and they feel like nobody wants to listen to them. But I'm sure there's somebody in your corner, in your support system, that would love to, be that shoulder you can lean on. So just make sure that you have a solid support system. And after that, let's get into this episode, okay? All right, so today I got my big sis on here. Tasha, go ahead and introduce yourself, name, age, where you're from, and if you have any kids, relationship status.
Yeah, my name is Latasha Walter. I'm originally from Longview, Texas, but I'm currently residing in Fort Worth. Yeah, I have stepchildren. I have five stepchildren, and yes, I'm currently seeing somebody.
All right. Currently seeing somebody. How's it feel in 2025 to not be single?
You know what? It feels good because a lot of people out here ain't just really making it like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to have somebody. To actually have somebody to be with. You know what I'm saying? In this day and age, man, it's hard out here by yourself. But when you got somebody that you can really be with, what I'm saying, it makes everything better.
Okay. And for those who's viewing this episode that don't understand where Longview, Texas is at, explain that for us.
Yeah, that's deep in East Texas. It's probably like 45 miles right there on the border of Louisiana. You know what I'm saying? We just way deep in the country. It's far east, right there on the edge.
Okay. And then take us through how you got to Fort Worth.
I actually, when I was like 18 or 19, I done some stupid stuff. You know what I'm saying? I got involved with some bad people, and I actually ended up doing some time.
Oh,
Yeah, done a little time, and they transferred me from the county to up in the Dallas Fort Worth area. And
okay.
did a couple of years up here, you know what I'm saying, and got out and just stayed with family up in here.
Okay. All right. So let's take it back to when Tasha was a little kid. Uh, did you come from a two-parent household where you had your mom and your father in the home together?
Yeah, and as far as when I first remember, I had my both parents. Then I lost my mom when I was 9 to breast cancer.
Okay.
Then it was just me and my dad, and my other parts of the family, really stepped up. So I was raised by pretty much everybody in my family.
Okay. Now, are you the only child?
Yes, I'm my mother's only child, but I'm my daughter. I mean, I'm my dad's second child.
Okay. And what kind of relationship you have with your siblings? Is it a boy, a brother?
I have a sister, what I'm saying? We have a great relationship. We had to kind of wait till later to kind of develop a relationship, just because grown folks stuff was going on the other end. So we just had to kind of wait till we can, what I'm saying, get together as grown adults and, what I'm saying, put that to the side and just start over.
Okay. Now, I know you said your mom passed away. So sorry for your loss when you were 9. But before she passed away, those first 9 years, how was your relationship with your mom and your dad?
You know what? As far as as what I was told, I was a love child. You know what I'm saying? I was conceived, what I'm saying, in marriage. You know what I'm saying? They were happy. I remember times where we were all together. So I feel like I was really loved. And they had a great relationship. And for what I seen. You know,
Okay. Would you say that you were closer to your mom or your dad?
oh man, I'm gonna say I was closest to my mom. Because then we just had those those mom mom daughter moments all the time. We was able to have that a lot. 'Cause my dad he was a truck driver, so he was on the road a lot. So he was out providing while we were there bonding. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
Um, what's like one fond memory you have of your mom?
oh man, well her taking me outside and pushing me on the swing set and combing my hair, and singing to me.
Well, oh man, singing to you. What was one of
Anita Baker, man. You know what I'm
Anita
saying? That's
Baker?
what they got me on that old school Anita Baker. I put that on, just remind me of her, man. Just her singing to me, doing my hair, and you know what I'm saying? Just us just chopping it up.
Okay. Now, with Anita Baker, what's her favorite song?
Angel.
Angel?
Yeah.
All right. You know the lyrics?
Yes.
Go ahead,
Do
drop it.
not
Go
ask
ahead.
me to sing. I am not
Hey, you
singing.
know it's coming. I was about to say, drop us a line real quick. I know you can sing over there. You're probably like a little tenor, huh?
I do a little something, a little razzle dazzle, you know.
Did you grow up in the church at all?
Yeah, I did. Both sides were deep in the church, deep.
Okay. How was that for you? How was that experience for you as a kid?
It was all right. You know what I'm saying? As a kid, I was bored. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like to wear dresses, so I had to hurry up. You know what I'm saying? I got through it. I'm gonna put it like that. But it helped my family raise me good. I see what they got out of it. You know what I'm saying? But as a kid, I didn't stay in there long. I just wanted to hurry up and get out the dress. I couldn't stand them stockings and stuff, man. No, and it made me spit my gum out and all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't
You,
no, that's just me as a kid.
not
But it
you,
was
not you wearing a dress.
man, no, bro.
So let me ask you this, right? Because obviously, as everybody can tell, obviously that you are part of the LGBTQ community, right? Is that how you
Sir.
say? Did I get it right? LGBTQ.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Yeah,
There's a lot of letters in there, man.
I think so.
So I didn't expect to get into this early, but we're gonna go ahead and just dive into this real quick for a second. Um, Now growing up in the church, right? How was that for you as somebody at a young age? You knew that you didn't want to wear dresses, but did you know that you liked females at that age?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Yes. Ever since I knew what was supposed to be between men and women, I knew I was a little bit biased, what I'm saying, with the women. What I'm saying? I had a little bit more going on in the women department. I knew that was
Okay.
gonna be my thing. I knew it.
So you never liked boys at all?
Just as little homies, little brothers, what I'm saying. I had a little next door neighbor Scooter. He tried it, but what I'm saying, but it wasn't working. But, what I'm saying, we just didn't vibe like that. What I'm saying, Scooter was cool, but I look at boys more as friends. What I'm saying, I get
Yeah.
along. I love guys. I get along with them as friends. What I'm saying, and we just stay there. What I'm saying, because they always look at me as they little. They never saw me as anything. So I'm like, okay, y'all don't see me like that. So hey,
So even
then that's
even even when you was at church and you was wearing those dresses and stockings, none of the little boys was like, "Oh, dang, look at Tasha over there."
man, they was laughing like, look at Tasha, because we were just playing kickball earlier. You know what I'm saying? Or the day before that. So what I'm saying. So they laughing. So that's
They probably thought you was miserable as hell over there.
and they knew it. They knew it.
Now, how did that go over with the church? Like when they finally came out that they you did like women.
You know what? I didn't get a chance to come out to like until I was pretty much out of the church. You know what I'm saying? Old enough to say, hey, I don't want to go this Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I quit going to the church not because I was having problems in the church. It's because it was just I just wanted to do other stuff. I just wanted to be a kid, and what I'm saying, church was just kind of it didn't grow on me like it would other people, and they could just continue in the church. What I'm saying, I just couldn't find a place in the church. Just just due to uncomfortability. You know what I'm saying? Not because of the word or anything. It just, but I just knew that what I was doing wasn't it. So I just kind of gracefully removed myself from the
Now,
situation.
now when you say that what you were doing, are you referring to the love you have for women, or were you
Yeah,
just
just
saying
my
other things?
feelings.
Okay.
Yeah,
The reason why I ask that is because, obviously a lot of times in Christianity, they try to say, on one hand, they try to say that, like, especially back in the day, like when we were younger, like to be, gay or however you want to talk about it, say it, was like a sin, right?
yeah,
Um, and they would probably like try to like, like cast the demon out of you and, pray for you, and say you're going to hell and all this kind of stuff. So I'm pretty sure, that probably played a part into you like staying quote unquote in the closet for so long, right? Uh,
yeah,
but then you look at church these days and you got gay pastors, you got uh gay people all throughout the choir, and I'm not one to judge. That's not my place to judge because, you know, we can't, and I find there's a lot of time in religion where they will, on one hand, they'll say, XYZ, but then on the other hand, it's something totally different. Like, for example, they'll say, like, judge not. Like, you shouldn't be judged. You shouldn't be judging people. The only person can judge somebody is God, right? But then as soon as somebody says, like, oh, like, like I'm a female who likes female, or I'm a male who likes men, uh, then they're judging you. They want to pray for you and all that kind of stuff. But I thought that the only person who could judge you was God, And then also on the
Yeah,
other hand of it, right? It says the Bible says, come as you are, So if you're a woman who likes to dress as a man, uh, then you should be able to come to church dressed as a boy, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
if you're a man who likes to dress as a woman, you should be able to come to the church dressed as a woman, right? And I know what they're going to say after that. They're going to say, well, when you get to church, that's when you're supposed to be rebuked and the demons cast out of you, so that way you go back to what is socially correct, right? Um, but I don't use my podcast and my platform to cast judgment on anybody, because just my own beliefs and just because I want to create a space where people can feel comfortable to speak, and I don't judge nobody. It's up to you. You live your life how you want to, right? How did your mom and dad take it?
well, my mom wasn't around to, kind of get the word, but my dad,
Mama
you
knew.
know, huh? Yeah, I think, because she was the one that, got me into Punky Brewster, put the chucks on me and stuff like that. She kind of felt, I was a little rougher, and she I had dolls and stuff, but I had Spider-Man and He-Man too. So,
Well, but even just the fact that you didn't want to wear a dress, right? Like I got
right.
I got females who I know now, like who have daughters, and they were like, oh well, she don't I can't get her to wear a dress. I wish she would wear a dress. I wish she would wear a skirt, XYZ. And then I'd be like, well, is she gay? Does she like girls? And then they'd be like, well, I assume so. Yeah, she don't want to wear no dress. It's just like the natural thing to like kind of like default to think, So
Yeah.
I'm sure your mom knew that you
Oh, yeah, I'm sure she knew too.
yeah.
You know
Now
what I'm saying?
what
I'm
about
sure
your
she knew
dad
too.
though?
You know what? My dad knew, but he was just waiting on me to tell him. When I did tell him, he was like, you still my baby, my baby girl. He said, I don't think it's, it's not ideal. It's not what I would want for you. But he's like, hey, you still my baby girl. And we just left it at that, and we moved forward from there.
Okay. Now you said you got kids. So
Yes.
how do you have kids if you don't like men? You got a
Well,
surrogate, a
well,
sperm donor?
yeah, I was going to actually, I was told at at an early age that I wasn't not going to be able to have children on my own. So I already knew that I was going to have to be a step parent.
Okay.
So I was I knew. I said, well, I know what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to, either find somebody with kids and that's willing to let me adopt or just adopt on my own. So I was willing to. I knew those were the two routes I was going to have to take. So
Okay.
fortunately, I was able to, come into somebody's life, and we met when I was in jail, and we got out, and she had kids, and I helped raise those kids.
Okay. Well, big shout out to your ex who allowed you to become a parent. Um, how was Tasha in high school and middle school? How was that for you?
Man, middle school, middle school was cool, like that's when I was just not starting to get friends and um being trying to be me, and but high school me was, was the me I was, I was trying to come out. So I actually had a chance to come out in high school, but I was in sports and I was just kind of well rounded. I wasn't the best, I wasn't the smartest, I was straight C's all the way through, but I did what I I ain't gonna tell you, oh, I was a straight A student, I was this and I was that that I just did enough to stay in sports. I had my friends. I just wanted to go to school and show off my clothes and just, I was school spirit. I was with the team spirit. I love my high school, big time representing, So, I participated, I wasn't a bad kid, I did regular kid stuff,
Okay. Now, when you were a kid and in school, did you ever have like kids around you in school who, dealt with different things like depression, anxiety, and stuff like that? Like any kind of like, suicidal ideations or something like that? Ever? Did you ever experience
Yes.
that?
Yes, I experienced it one time in the seventh grade. I was riding the bus. Um, home, and then there was a little boy on the bus, and he had brought a knife to school, and he was scared to go home because they said his dad was going to get him. You know what I'm saying? He was a Jehovah's Witness. You know, his family was real religious, and it came to my stop, and he got off the bus with me, and I didn't see him. He usually walks me down to the house a little bit, and I didn't see him, and he laid up under the bus. He was so scared to go home. He laid up under the bus, and the bus ran over him. You know, so he would he was so scared he just let the bus run over him, and the bus killed him. You know what I'm saying? That was the most traumatic thing I've ever experienced as a child.
Wait a
Because
minute. Wait a minute. So, wow. So you're saying that the boy was so scared to go home that he got out the bus and he laid up under the bus and the bus rolled over him and killed him.
yes, yes.
Holy crap. And you were right there the whole time?
Yes, I was right there the whole time. I didn't when we got off the bus together, what I'm saying? I turned my back just for a second, letting the other kids get off, what I'm saying? It was me and a couple of the other kids. And I, looked to find him because we were supposed to walk off a little bit together because we kind of stayed down the street from each other. And I was looking around and then I heard a kid yelling, "Get off of him," what I'm saying? And everybody was looking around and a kid was yelling, "He's under the bus." And then by that time, the bus had ran him over. I didn't even want to look up under the bus. Everybody was screaming. And I couldn't even look under the bus. I never looked under that bus.
Now, how old were you at this time?
I was 14.
All right. As a 14-year-old, um, witnessing this in person, how did that affect you?
Man, I was like, I just couldn't believe that it was something can be that serious that you wouldn't want to go home to your parents. It made me just like wonder what type of parenting was going on. I thought everybody had the same type of parents. I didn't
Yeah.
know it got that deep, for some kids. I thought I literally thought that we were all being raised the same, small town. I got small town values. I'm from a small town, everybody knows everybody. So,
Yeah.
we all think, we think we know each other.
Yeah.
So, when things like that happen, we like, damn, that's going on here in this town, we know because we all know each other, and my friend, we play with each other every day, and he would mention things, that was going on in the home. But we thought, we all get, we get our butt whooped sometimes. We get busted, we get grounded, but we didn't know it was that serious, what I'm saying? So that's when I started learning the difference, there was different types of parenting going on in different homes.
That's what I was going to ask you, like, because obviously as kids, we always think that we got it so bad. We think that, like, like, oh, I'm getting grounded, I'm getting, spankings, getting yelled at, etc. And we think that we have it so bad. I was going to ask you, after that happened, um, what kind of perspective did that give you towards your home life?
I just knew I wanted to, I thought about what type of parent I wanted to be. I didn't want to have that type of fear installed in my kids, and my kids didn't want to talk to me. My parents were open with me, what I'm saying? So, I don't want my kids to ever shut down on me or ever fear me, then it just made me want to turn up on my parenting when I had the opportunity to be a parent, you know. And I wanted to just, make sure my friends were okay and started listening to my friends more, a
Yeah.
little bit more deeper when they would tell me things, and try to be a better ear to my friends just in case they needed me.
Did you ever have to go to any kind of therapy after witnessing that?
No, like I was able to like, after talking to my friends about it, because it was the talk of the town, with friends and family. So we, everybody was, able to talk about it. It was something that was talked about for a long time. And so we were able to kind of, get over it as a whole town.
Okay,
It's one of those things to make the whole town come together.
well, that's good. So then, did you yourself ever go through anything like that? Any kind of like thought process like that? Like, thinking about like, uh, suicidal thoughts or, having any kind of depression or anxiety? Even like, 'cause like for instance, like you went through this as a 14-year-old child. Previous to that, you went through losing your mother to breast cancer. So that's some traumatic things right there. Did you ever like get to a low point where you felt like, like you started questioning your desire and ability to want to live?
Yeah, because like, you get to see it. Well, as a kid, you see everybody else getting picked up at school by their mom. You know what I'm saying? It's like they ain't know why I gotta lose mine. So, what I'm saying, I was just going through that, that basic process of grieving. You know what I'm saying? I just, I grieved, what I'm saying, hard like a 9-year-old should. You know what I'm saying? I just grieved really hard, what I'm saying? But my family was the one, like if it wasn't for my family, I would have never made it through that. I was messed up now.
Because I had another guest on here previously who lost her mother, and she's talked about. I think she lost her mother a couple years ago, like recent, not too long ago, like maybe like within like the last 2 years, right? And still to this day, she's as a 24-year-old woman, she still struggles with the loss of her mom. So I can only imagine as a 9-year-old girl, that would be really really traumatic. Now, was the process of her going home going home to heaven, was that like a long process? Was that like something that kind of like happened really quick where you didn't really have time to process it? Like how was that process?
But you know what? I was processing it for a long time because ever since I can remember, I never seen my mother walk. You know what I'm saying?
Walk?
Yeah, I've never seen her walk. You know what I'm saying? Or really do. She done everything sitting down. My mom, she was, sick the whole time. I don't have any really good memories of her being active. Ever since I can remember, she's always been on crutches and, no hair. Just, I've actually had to take care of my mom. Had to bathe her and, saying like do her activities of daily life. With her. I just always, but she never complained though. She did her thing. I just don't never, remember her being, that up and at it active mom. She done everything from a chair. You know.
Uh, Okay. There was I know you say you grew up in a small town. Was there other women in the town who stepped in to kind of like help you like with like say like with sports? Because you said I know you said your dad was a truck driver, so like getting to and from sports, like did you have like other like surrogate moms in a sense?
Oh yeah, I had aunties. Like my family, we deep. I got a bit like yours. I have a very very big family, and everybody was more than willing to step up and and do things for me.
Okay.
More than willing. And that's some of her friends too. Her friends and family members on both sides.
Now, because sometimes when things happen to us in life, it affects our decision making and our behavioral choices that we make, right? So I know you spoke about how you went to jail, right? So was the loss that you dealt with your mom, and then even the loss of your friend, like those kind of things, was those the reasons why you kind of went on a downward spiral and you landed in jail, or how was that?
Yeah, yeah. I can truly say that. Yeah, some of the decisions I made, came from some of that, a little bit of that trauma. Not thinking straight. Not thinking about, hey, well, what would my mom think about this? Knowing that she wouldn't want me doing things like this. And just being dumb, man. Not having that. Nobody to talk me out of it. I just did it. Just yeah, let's do it.
Did you graduate high school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, barely.
Yeah, let's
Because of
see.
sports, if it weren't for sports, me having that love for sports, I wouldn't, I would have just, like I said, I've done bare minimum just to play sports,
Yeah,
and make my people proud, at least, give my mama that diploma.
there you go. Uh, when you graduated high school, did you go to college at all?
No, I didn't go. I had a couple of offers, but I want to start a family. I've always wanted a family. I never want to have any type of career or type of job title. I've always wanted to be, a parent.
Now, with you being a female, I gotta ask this question. I feel like throughout this conversation, we're gonna always kind of come back to this.
That's
Uh,
what's up.
um, so as a female who, obviously by looking at you, we would say that in a relationship, you would be the more masculine one, right?
Right.
Um, as a female leaving high school that wants to build a relationship and wants to be in a relationship and have a family, obviously you're going to be playing the man role. And I don't mean to say playing like, in a disrespectful way. I'm just saying like you're going to be the male in the relationship. Um, as that a female that's going into a relationship like that, what did you feel like you had to offer to a woman who might have kids? I'm just curious.
Well, I knew I was going to be a 100% dedicated parent. You know what I'm saying? I want to give a child what I got, as a child. I got love and support from the whole family. They was there for the whole ride. You know what I'm saying? And I knew I had enough of that in me to give to another child.
All right. Because the reason why I asked that is because I know, like for me, right? Like this never happened to me, but I'm just assuming that if, like, let's just say my mom, after having us, she decided to date women. Um,
Mhm.
especially because you're going to be raising, it's a possibility you could be raising sons, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and my mom brought in, a female who was more masculine, to be, like a father figure or just a adult figure in our life. Already the fact of trying to understand the fact that now I have, in a sense, two moms, quote unquote, two moms, but I also have this mom who kind of dresses like me, kind of talks like me, and that could be kind of confusing. Did you ever go through that with any of your kids?
Oh yeah, that first day was a trip. You know what I'm saying? You know how kids be like, "Is you a boy or a girl?" No, I got that. I got that from all three of them the first day. You know what I'm saying? And they were just kind of looking like just trying to figure it out. But they through my behaviors and the way I nurtured them, they caught on and be having to kind of just have that slow talk because they were like uh 4, 3, and 1. So they were very small. You know what I'm saying? So I had time to kind of make my own type of impression on them, before they got out there and was totally confused. So, they actually gave me a chance. I was surprised they gave me a chance. So they gave me a chance.
Okay. Now, as a black gay gay woman, what kind of prejudice have you experienced?
Man, from all
Especially a
from
black gay woman, because I listen, I have my sister, before you get into it, I have my sister on here, right? And
right.
she said that she feels like black women have it worse than black men, right? So
Yeah.
now you're technically a black woman that wants to be a black man, but you're black first, right? So I
Yeah.
can only imagine the type of things that people probably said to you, the way they treated you.
Oh
Like
yeah.
what kind of things did you experience?
That's the thing, with them thinking that every, masculine presenting female wants to be a man. I
Yeah.
love being a female, you know what I'm saying? I embrace the whole thing because I think, I like being pretty.
Okay.
I just like the man clothes, you know what I'm saying? So, it's just like the whole misunderstanding about the whole thing that, they put all masculine presenting females in one box that we don't have differences.
Okay.
We have differences, you know what I'm saying? There are some hardcore stuff out there that they like to grab on themselves and do all that type of stuff. But I embrace my femininity, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to, I want people to know that I'm a girl, you know what I'm saying? I try to, keep some of my facial features and I try to, do girly things that, from time to time. You know what I'm saying? I just like wearing the boys' clothes. It's just a misconception of, them thinking we're all the same, and
Yeah.
then, I'm trying to go to the bathroom, you know what I'm saying? People coming in the bathroom, you're, trying to, and they think, some of them think that that I want to be mistaken. No, you know what I'm saying? Some of them get mad, you know what I'm saying? At the fact that I'm in the bathroom, dressed like this, you know what I'm saying? They think that that I'm trying to be a transsexual and all that. They don't even ask me. They just assume, it's just the assumption of
Yeah.
everything they think that I am without asking me, without even getting to know me. I'm already in the box, you know.
But how does that make you feel?
I used to get pissed about it, but hey, but now that's their opinion. And they have a right to feel and think the way they, want to feel and think. I just need them to stay away from me, with it. You can have your thoughts and opinions. Just please stay over respectfully. Please stay over there with it. And I stay over here with mine.
Do you feel like, and I kind of already know the answer to this question. Do you feel like the LGBTQ culture has changed over the years?
Yes, yes, a lot.
In
Because
what ways do
we're
you?
constantly having to explain our, because we're constantly having to explain it because, like we're having, different dynamics of, gay men, come in, because like they, not all gay men are the same now. So we're having to constantly have to explain the new, what's new out here, and people just have to keep up, and it's going to keep on changing, you
Now, do
know.
y'all have like a I don't know, like a form board or something where you guys kind of like are up to date on what your terminology and stuff? Because I vividly remember a day where, and I think you might know where I'm going with this. I remember a day, and I think I told this story on the podcast so far, on an episode already, where me and you were FaceTiming, and we were we were, when I first moved up here, remember we used to FaceTime and we'll smoke together on FaceTime. You remember that?
Yeah.
All right, and we are having a conversation, and You said to me,
Oh my God, I
you
remember
hit the
that.
I remember it vividly. You hit the blunt and you said, "Yeah, you know, bro, I don't even know if I'm gay anymore." And I was like, "Wait, what?" Because ever since I've known you for the last like 8 years, uh, you've always been. I mean, because when I first met you, I thought you were a dude. I didn't know that you were a girl. But that's because none of us were. We were all wearing. I was working at. We were working at the little rehab center, and all y'all
Yeah,
was wearing scrubs. You know,
yeah,
and so in the scrubs, you look like a dude because you just had
yeah,
the braids or you had the ponytail, and you didn't wear your
yeah.
hair like a girl at all. You know, and no makeup, no nothing. And I think you were sagging.
I probably was. I
Yeah,
probably
and
was.
I
I
was
was
like,
still on that.
yeah, so I was like, I thought you was a dude. But my point is, you said, I don't know if I'm gay anymore. And I was like, I kind of choked and I was like, what do you mean? And then you was like, yeah, man, they got too many different types of gays out here. He's like, she's like, the one that fucked me up the most was the touch me nots. Oh yeah, I just did that I just talked about that on the last episode I did with
Yeah.
Celeste. And so explain to everybody what's a touch me not.
A touch me not is is a stud that just prefers not to. They want to do all the touch. They just don't want to be touched. They basically they just don't. You know what I'm saying? They just don't want to be. They want to do everything. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody got their own reason for not want to be touched. You know what I'm saying? It could be just what they prefer, or it could be something traumatic behind it. But for whatever reason, they just don't want to be touched. You know what I'm saying? Some of them only want to be touched a little bit. Some, you know what I'm saying, some of them, some of them can tolerate a little touch, and some of them don't want to be touched at all. So, you know what I'm saying, that's where you got to get to know the person, you know,
Uh,
and see what the level is, you know.
so I just kind of I'm glad I had you on here because I can get some questions answered and it won't be like from me somebody who's straight and it seemed like I'm being like facetious or anything because I'm really not. Some of the stuff
Yeah.
is comical to me because it's sometimes when you don't understand something, the best way to just deal with it is kind of like laugh and find something funny about it.
Yeah.
But to all my viewers out there, I don't think I'm not like I said at the beginning, I'm not trying to be facetious and I'm not here to judge, just to gain understanding. And so my question for you is this. Obviously, you're not a touch me not,
Right.
because
I'm not.
what type of like gay out there now is the most confusing to you as somebody who is a part of that community?
Oh man, I'm only confused about what I'm learning now until it starts to make sense. You know what I'm saying? Because because like the younger generation, they're coming up with, like different types of, I'm hearing about lavender relationships and stuff. I'm learning,
Hear about
yeah,
what?
lavender relationships. I'm learning about all kinds of, it's not that, I'm learning, you know what I'm saying? Until I learn, I just kind of sit back and kind of observe, and I ask questions. So, I'm out here asking some of my community people, like, what's this? You know what I'm saying? I got to learn from the younger community, the
What's a
younger people.
lavender relationship? In
Lavender
in
relationship.
your like like from your understanding right now, I know you said you're learning it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, from my understanding, from what I just learned, a lavender relationship is when, like, it can be a gay man that's willing to be in a relationship, with a gay woman. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and being a formal traditional marriage for their own. Maybe it could be for financial reasons, or maybe they really really love each other. You know what I'm saying? It's still, it's kind of like, oh my God, it's so hard to explain because I'm still new to it.
So that's
But
almost like
basically,
those that's almost like those relationships in the military where they just get married for benefits.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? There are benefits, but they're like more of a like there's some type of connection to it, you know what I'm saying, as well. You know what I'm saying? It's not just, there's not just benefits, there is actually a connection with these people, you know what I'm saying? Because like there's some guys that, like I've seen guys that, that, I think are cute, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, you know what I'm saying, that, that I think, yeah, you know what I'm saying, I'm gay or whatever, but you know what I'm saying, but like if I were to, I would consider a lavender, you know what I'm saying, marriage, for the simple fact that, it's like I have guys that I'm very, very close with, you know what I'm saying, I feel like we're soulmates, you know what I'm saying, on that level, you know what I'm saying, but, we're not going to have sex, I'll let him have sex, you know what I'm saying, with the man, we're just not going to have sex, but we have that connection with each other that we can be together. You know what I'm saying? It's a special connection, you know what I'm saying, that a gay man can have with a gay woman, and
Oh,
still,
so both parties have to be gay.
yes.
Okay, because I was just confused. Like I was like, so why you don't just like I now see confused.
Right, you know what I'm saying? So it's new to me. So I'm still asking and I'm still getting information on it. And so I was like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Because like as I was learning, I was like, you know what I'm saying? Because, I know guys that, that hey, that I know will make great husbands, you know what I'm saying, and they're just great guys. You
But
see
I
what I'm
ain't
saying?
gay.
And I ain't gonna knock them and say, but I don't wanna hop in the bed with you, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
I'll create a life with you, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna, turn you away, you know what I'm saying, turn down a good person to somebody I can build something with, if I was willing to do that.
yeah. Okay. Because like for me, I think the most confusing one is the cis woman and the whole cis community thing.
Hmm.
That was like the most, when that came out, that was like super. As a straight man, I'm just to say this. For me, it was more like I felt disrespected. Uh,
Oh, okay.
only because I felt like that if you want to be gay, you want to be trans or anything like that, that's your prerogative. And like I said at the beginning, I'm not here to judge you. But don't, I just felt like don't make me feel like I have to change who I am or how I refer to myself because now you, as a woman, want to be a man. Or as a man, you now want to be a woman. So now this woman can't be just a woman. Now she has to be a cis woman. You know,
Yeah.
I just felt like why you can't just be the cis woman because you're the woman that you're the man who's trying to be a woman. This person has been a woman since they were born. That's how
Yeah.
they. But now all of a sudden now they have to be referred to as something totally different because you want to come over to their side. So for me, as a straight person, I felt disrespected by that. And I really didn't play into it too much. Like I didn't really, I just kind of like brushed it off because I was like, I mean, I felt like it was disrespectful, but it was just like, whatever, man. I mean, what can I do?
Yeah.
I'm not going to refer to myself as, I don't even know what they refer to guys as cis men. I don't know. But I'm not going to refer to myself as anything else besides a man, a true man. Like
Right.
that's because that's what I am. So for any woman who wants to be a man, that's your prerogative, but don't think that I'm going to change the fact that I'm a man, because of that.
Right.
That's how in the beginning when it first came out, I was just kind of like, I was kind of like I said, I felt disrespected and I felt really confused and I was just like, this is stupid. And then I just said to myself, you know what? They can do what they want to do. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna change how I, refer to myself or I refer to any other straight man out there, so. But all right, so I gotta ask the question, the elephant in the room.
Let's
What
do it.
what landed Big Tasha in jail? Take us through that.
Man.
Don't
So
cut no corners. Don't be vague.
I
We
don't
want to
cut no
know.
corners, man. So I'm working at Subway. You know what I'm saying? I'm making sandwiches. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So one day this lady walks in, and this was back in the day when they was doing those. I don't know if they still doing them now, but you can order like a big, huge, like 50-foot party sub. This lady
All
came
right.
in and she was opening up a security business, and she was doing her grand opening for her employees, doing orientation. So she came in and ordered a big party sub for the company. So so she came in a day ahead of time. So it took us a whole day, to make it. So we made the sandwich. So she came and picked the sandwich up the next day. And as we were loading the sandwiches up in the car, she left briefcase, you know, uh, in the building. So we packed her up, and then she left. And the girl that was working with me, she was like, "Oh, the lady left a briefcase, briefcase." We was like, "Well, she'll probably come back for it," but she never came back for it. So the next day, we said, "Well, we gonna try to get in touch with her, but the only way we can get in touch with her, we didn't have no card, so we opened up the briefcase and we saw checks and credit cards and all kind of goodies. When you 18, 19, your eyes get big. You ain't never seen, that type of action. So, so we looked at each other and, and she was like, we called her and she never, got back with us. So my friend took one of the cards across the street and she tried it pay at the pump and the card worked. And so right then and there, that's when the stupid decision was made to get this woman for all. We just wrecked her account. We stole a lot of money from her. You know what I'm saying? I am not proud of that at all. You know what I'm saying? But we just gave in to the bull crap. You know what I'm saying? And just spent the life.
How'd you get caught?
She told on me. I had quit, you know what I'm saying? I had spent money and, you know what I'm saying? I quit doing stuff for a whole year. I did what I did and I just kind of laid low. I didn't do anything. But I guess she got caught because she was still kind of spending on some of the money and just kind of rolled over on me. Just, I guess, to try to get herself a lesser deal.
Okay.
And so,
Now, when they came to pick you up, how was that? How did that happen?
man, and my grandma called me and she was screaming in the phone. She was like, "Oh, you in the paper? You got indicted?" I'm like, "What?" And the police came over, looking for you. I'm like, "What?" You know what I'm saying? Because it had been a whole year,
Oh,
you
damn.
know. So I thought I was cool. I thought I had got away with it. But
So you
then,
turned yourself in?
huh,
You turned your
my grandma made me turn myself in.
Okay. See, look, grandma's had that power, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm
You
saying?
gonna go
'Cause she was
turn
like, "Nah,
yourself
you
in.
ain't gonna do all that. You finna go do right." You know what I'm saying? So she made me do right, made me go turn myself in.
Okay. How was that first day in jail for you?
It's crappy, dude. You know what I'm saying? I knew I did not belong there, man. I did not belong there, man. They put you in this place called the dog pound, man. It looked like a real dog pound, man. You caged. It's like four four flights of women on in cages. Like it's hot in there. It's just it looked like a real shithole, man. You know,
Okay.
I knew I didn't belong there, man. I knew I had really messed up at that moment. That's when I knew I messed up.
Now, um, how long did you get sentenced to?
I done it was 18 months, but I done a total of 2 years.
Oh, you kept getting in trouble.
Yeah, but you know what? I had another little possession charge to go along with it, and I
Okay.
violated my pretrial probation or whatever. You know, what I'm saying I was just wilding out.
Now, what's the craziest thing that you saw in there?
Oh, oh man. Well, the craziest thing I saw was, then we had this thing called the host squad. You know what I'm saying?
A
We would
hose
go out.
squad?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's when you actually get to go out and work every day.
Okay.
So, we were we get to go out. We went to the South Dallas Work Commission or something like that. So we was out cleaning up like crack dens and heroin neighborhoods, just picking up, you know what I'm saying, dirty neighborhoods or whatever. So some of the girls were starting to get involved with some of the guys out there, you know what I'm saying, messing around or whatever, so of course, I wasn't messing around with nobody. But what I'm saying, because I was in there with all the females. So but anyway, so some shit was, was going around when people were sneaking black and miles and batteries and stuff back off in the place. So one day, because we have to squat and cough, going out and coming in. So
Yeah.
coming in one time we was doing the squat and cough. Man, girl squat and cough like 4 black and miles, popped out batteries. I'm like, really hold it. You know what I'm saying?
What's that called? Keystone?
Uh, them little Kegel muscles, whatever they, but yeah, they was really holding it down there. But like, I ain't never seen nobody just drop stuff just straight out the house down there. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah, that's
like,
crazy.
but yeah, just fights. You know what I'm saying? But like, it ain't nearby as bad as the men's prison. You know what I'm saying? Just
You
fights.
get
You know
any
what I'm
fights while
saying?
you're in there?
Yeah, and in the county, you know what I'm saying? I woke up to a big old woman sitting on my chest because she got mad over a domino match. So then they take dominoes and spades real seriously up in there. So they just try you, you know what I'm saying? Because they think they thought I was quiet, so what I'm saying, they just wanted to see what was up. You know what I'm saying? They do that because them crackheads, they get restless in there and they need something to
So,
do.
so as a woman who's not really a criminal, right? Who's never
Right,
really done criminal activity, you made one bad decision, that's
right.
into you being incarcerated. How did that affect you mentally while you're sitting in there?
I mean, I was, it was just the knowing that I disappointed my family. You know what I'm saying? They know I wasn't that type of person. And people were so shocked to learn that that I was in jail. They was like, Tasha in jail? What? You know what I'm saying? Because they were just so not like me. I
But
did what I did. And
did that
go
ever
ahead.
get you did that ever get you like really low to where you just kind of like became depressed? Because I know like a lot of people that I've met from prison, like their first, especially like their first night in there, they kind of like slip into like a depression because the world and life as you know it is no longer, right? Now where you can wake up, you can decide what you want to do. If you're gonna go to work today, you're not gonna go to work today. If you're gonna, smoke weed, if you're gonna go to the bathroom when you want to go to the bathroom, all this kind of stuff is like now it's kind of stripped from you. You don't have those choices. Somebody's making those choices for you. So you kind of like, I'm not speaking from experience, never been to jail, but just from the people I've talked to, they've gone through that kind of stuff. Did you ever go through anything like that where you just kind of like became depressed because, your freedom's just literally taken away?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because it was so abrupt. I thought I was going to get probation, and she did when she told me, that that she gave me that time, 18 months day for day, I was like, what? Like, my for my first offense? What? Are you serious? It was the element of surprise first, and then just being there, it's like, man, everything just shut down. You don't even know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? It's like you cut off from the world. You know what I'm saying? I was so mad. I was pissed off and disappointed in myself. I was pissed off. You know what I'm saying? That I allowed myself to get to that point.
Now in the mix, because you're in the mix of turmoil and chaos going on around you in jail, but you're also dealing with these feelings, right? What kind of process did you have to go through to kind of like, bring yourself to terms with what's going on and to, keep a strong mindset and a strong mentality to get out of there in one piece?
Man, I had the like my it was the constant presence of my family visiting me every weekend, and just talking me through it. I got letters from friends, and my friends came all the way from the country to come see me. I had a visit every weekend. What I'm saying? People was just telling me, man, when you get out of here, man, you're gonna have to get back to you, man, because this ain't you. Everybody just kept telling me the same thing. This ain't you. This ain't, you know what I'm saying? Then I don't know you like this, you know what I'm saying? And so, and people was telling me that, they believed in me, be somebody better. So, you know what I'm saying? I knew I had to, you know what I'm saying? I had to go ahead and come out and be better. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew I was, man. But I was real down on myself. It was just I just couldn't believe I made the decision I made to do that.
And then you never been in any other kind of trouble after that, huh?
Nah, nah.
I feel like this. I feel like people who don't embrace that lifestyle, like truly don't embrace the criminal lifestyle, embrace prison and don't try to like hype it up to where it's like and glorify.
Yeah.
I feel like those type of people, when they get out, one, they don't really talk about it too much. And two, they don't really actually return. They kind of change their life. They learn from their mistakes and they turn themselves around, right? Because I've known you for 8 years and I've never knew that you went to jail. So now
I thought I
you
told you.
no, you've never said
Yeah,
that.
like, trust me, I don't be trying to, what I'm saying, like put that out there, what I'm saying, because I don't want nobody to, what I'm saying, like have any second thoughts about me, what I'm saying. I like for people to, what I'm saying, meet me where I am at right now and know me for, where you meet me.
Okay. Now for somebody who because there's people out who are in the same boat as you who have went to jail, they made a bad decision that led them to go become incarcerated. What kind of advice would you give them about like the mentality that they need to have, how to have a strong mentality, and coming out and having a positive outlook on life and just progressing? Because that was like 20 plus years ago for you, and now
Mhm.
you're a successful woman, or a very positive, successful woman. What kind of advice would you give to somebody like that?
Man, just know that it's going to be hard and just know that it's going to pass. You know what I'm saying? Because this is something you have to go through to get to it. You know what I'm saying? You just got to understand, what I'm saying, what happened and understand where you're going, and just don't give up on yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because like the world's going to make you feel like, what I'm saying, that you ain't shit no more.
Yeah.
Just don't give up on yourself. Don't allow that to penetrate.
Okay.
Because if you penetrate, it's gonna stay in there. It's gonna be hard to get rid of.
So I have one special question that I always ask everybody. I kind of fell off from asking this, but I'm gonna get back to asking it because it's a very important question for me. Um, and if you and anybody who knows me and who's watched previous episodes, they kind of probably know the question that's coming. And then the people who really truly know me outside of podcasting or whatever, you know me on a personal level, where I stand on this question. Right? So the question I have for you is, to you, what's more important, love or loyalty, and why?
Loyalty. Why? Because like love, then you can get different types of love and it can still be love, you know, but loyalty goes a lot further, then, for me, in my opinion, it goes a lot further, saying, because people, the people that are loyal to you understand and they do their part in your life to make sure they don't, then, they don't ruin, what y'all have. they're going to
Yeah.
always do their part to, saying, make sure things stay good. They know it's a two-way thing. It's not just a one-sided thing. I like how loyalty goes. Loyalty it feels good to me. To know somebody that's loyal to me. I feel safe. With a loyal person.
Now, would you say that a relationship can survive? Um, Wait a minute.
That's my battery getting low. Dang.
Uh, um, would you say that a relationship can survive with just loyalty or just love, or it needs loyalty, love, and trust? If you need
Ooh.
me to explain the relationship, I mean the question better, I will.
Well, what I'm saying, I think it needs it all. I mean, because like, they could, because like everybody's not strong in all points. Some, saying, some people, need to work in, certain areas, but they still have it. They just need to work on it a little bit more. Saying, that just allows time for people to grow in other areas. So,
Yeah.
if you can have a little bit of everything, saying, it can still work,
All right. And then before we get out of here, I do have to have you do the one famous thing that everybody loves to do the most. You got to spin that trauma wheel. And because you're not here in the studio, I'll spin it for you, and then I'll let you know what it lands on. And then,
Okay.
like I said before we started, pretty much whatever it lands on, just tell us about a time where that was prevalent to you,
Okay.
experience you went through, and just give us the details, how you got through it, and what advice you would give to somebody who's going through that similar thing. Okay,
Okay.
so let's see what you're gonna land on. I'm not sure why people hate the trauma wheel. All right, you landed on childhood trauma. So tell us about some trauma that you went through as a child. Nothing that you stated so far already. And like I said, explain to us what happened, how you got through it, and any advice that you would give somebody who's going through something similar.
In my childhood.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh man. All right. My dad married this had a relationship with this lady, what I'm saying, and she didn't like me, what I'm saying, at all. She had three of her own kids. And my dad was, like I said, my dad was a truck driver, so he would leave, what I'm saying. He would probably be gone for like a month, a little bit over a month at a time. So when he would leave, she would leave, what I'm saying, and the kids would go over their grandparents' house. And one time he left and she left me at home for 2 months straight by myself. I was in the fourth grade and I was left there in the house for 2 months to, to fend for myself. I had to get up and get myself ready for school. She, she never called, she never showed up. She left me in that house for 2 months straight. Um, no food. Once all the food had ran out of the house, I was stealing Snickers and Reese's from the store, to survive, eating at school, learning how to, take care of myself, young, being scared to, stay in that house by myself. I was scared to call anybody, my grandparents, I didn't want to get anybody in trouble and start no drama in the family, because she was already being mean to me and I hated her. So, but some people at the school eventually kind of caught on to what was going on, or whatever, because obviously a fourth grader can't care for herself, for too long without somebody noticing. So eventually, my grandparents were able to step in, and everything kind of came to light, But like that was like one of the scariest moments in the world. 'Cause I was like, why would she really abandon me like this? But I noticed she abandoned her own kids, because it's like they just knew what to do. Soon as he left, the kids left. It's like it was something that they were used to. So I was like, damn, and that was my first feeling of abandonment. And I was kind of mad at my pops for a minute, but he didn't know. He thought he was doing the right thing by giving me a mother figure.
Yeah.
But she just was not it. But like she, then I was kind of angry about that for a while. But like some years passed, and she hit me up on Facebook and she asked for my forgiveness. I forgave her, and she kind of explained to me, where she was at that point in her life, and I was able to forgive her, and move on from that, or whatever. But that was like one of the most traumatic experiences in my life, as a kid.
Okay. And what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's going through something similar to that?
Man, there are people out there that do care about you, don't be afraid to, let people know what's going on, don't ever feel backed in the corner, if there's somebody out there that you can to go talk to them,
All right.
save yourself if you can.
Okay. Now, look, guys, this is part one of Tasha's episode. Tasha gonna come back on this podcast and she's gonna finish her story. Um, but Tasha, what did you think about the podcast so far?
Man, I'm loving it, man. I'm glad you're doing this, man. This is a good thing. I'm glad you had me on too. So, I love this for you and everybody in the community.
Okay, and then what kind of advice would you have for me with moving forward with this podcast?
Man, hurt, just keep growing, man. You didn't do so much since I knew you. Just keep growing, man. You doing your thing, So don't stop, No matter what, all the kind of stuff that's happening, to you for you and get back in that gym, man. And get back, get back squatting, man. I want to see you out there, man. I'm trying to get strong like you. So just keep getting stronger, man. Don't never put them weights down, man.
Okay.
That's what I like to see you in. I think this is, it's all working together for you.
Okay. Now, my last question for you is, have you watched any of the previous episodes? And if so, what's one thing that stood out to you from somebody else's story?
I watched the oh God, I forgot I watched Celeste. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, oh, I forgot, it was something she said in the beginning.
So I put you
Oh
in the
God,
hot seat.
yeah, yeah, you got me in the hot seat, and I can't even, quote on that, but all I can say, I just kind of, like a circle, like I felt like it was really real. A lot of people just come in there and just say a whole bunch of stuff and make themselves look good. I just feel like her story was real. I just like the genuineness of, of her story.
Okay.
It was one I could listen to.
Okay. I appreciate your support and I appreciate you coming on here. And for all you guys who are watching, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button and drop a comment in the comments if you like Tasha's story, and drop a peace sign if you'd love for her to come back and share part two of her story. And if you haven't already understood the premise of my podcast, the premise of my podcast is to allow people to come on and have a safe space where they can talk, share their stories, whatever part of their story is. And if you feel like your story is not that significant, I can assure you that somebody out there is going through something similar to you, and to them, it's very significant. So by you coming on and sharing your story, you can be an inspiration to that person. You can maybe even save a life. So don't be hesitant to share your story. And if you haven't already, go ahead, follow us on Instagram at _emotions_VDP. Follow us on TikTok as well at Minor Emotions the podcast. And if you would like to be the one of those people who come on this podcast and this platform to share your story, shoot us an email to minoriemotionsthepodcast@gmail.com. And here's my least favorite part of the podcast, but I feel like it's very important. This was the section where I call it hot seat hurt. So this is where I allow my guests to come on, and I'm the one in the question in the question seat, to where the guest could ask me one or two, maybe even three questions. So Tasha, go ahead and fire up.
So, are you really retired or what? You coming back to the weights, to the powerlifting or what?
Ooh, okay. I'm glad you started off with this one. I like it. So to be honest, and I don't want to sound like, kind of cocky or anything, because there's so many people out there that are just strong. I feel like strong is, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Relative, right? So in my most recent competitions in the last couple of years, I haven't put in 100% effort into prepping for those competitions. But for some reason, I still came out on top and still won, right? And for me, that kind of like unmotivated me, right? So there's that. Plus, it's also like I've been going through so much different things in my life, right? Like building this podcast because I feel like people a lot of times they chase their dreams, and that's great. And they try to walk in their in like their passions, like they chase their passions, and they wonder why they run into so many different obstacles, right? But then I think that you become more successful in life, and the journey, even through the obstacles, become more bearable and enjoyable when you start to walk in your purpose, right? And I'm not saying that my purpose is to be a podcaster, right? I'm not saying that to be a podcaster, to be a streamer, or anything of the sorts. But what I do know, if looking back on my life and reflecting on the things that I've done and just the situations I've been in, I know that my purpose is people. Um, and what I mean by that is I've always been a person who cares about people, right? Cared about their well-being, cared about bringing them together. And so with the loss of the different people, from my best friend to my ex's daughter to my niece, um, just all the people I've lost, I realized like that I have to do something to help these people. And the moment that I started doing, I started my podcast. I was inspired. I wanted to do it, and then I was like kind of like pushed and inspired by my brother. And when I just kind of like jumped off the porch and did it, this has not been easy. If any of you guys are watching this, you go back and you watch my first episode, my first couple episodes. The just the setup and just the quality and just the quality, not just the quality of like how it looks, but just the quality and how it sounds, but just the quality of the interviews, the quality of like me as an interviewer has progressed so much. And it's, sometimes we start doing things and because it's not perfect, we get to become discouraged, right? And for me, that has happened to me sometimes in life, like even with fitness, like I started out doing bodybuilding and things because I got diagnosed with Graves' disease. And I'm not going to dive too much into this because we're going to get into my story, which that episode's coming out soon. Um, but I went through different things in life, and because it didn't go the way I wanted to the first one or two times, I kind of like went a different path. But I'm staying the course with this because this matters to me so much, right? And maybe God later on will give me another avenue to where I can be there for people. But for now, this is the avenue I have, and this podcast, as long as the internet exists, and as long as I have a way to put this out there, this will always be here. So yeah. When will I come back to powerlifting is your original question, right? Um,
Yeah,
I said all that to say I'm never going to stop powerlifting. I'm never going to stop powerlifting. Uh,
right.
I'm just taking a hiatus right now. I call it a retirement, but
Okay.
it's a hiatus right now. I'm focused on podcasting and just touching lives and building up my personal life.
Shit, you answered a lot of questions right there.
There you go.
Good job.
Uh, you got any other questions for me? Come on.
Too. Okay. I got one. Okay, so you know what I'm saying, like your boys, you know what I'm saying, how like with this changing world and your kids. So how would you feel if one of them turned out to join the what I'm saying, to be in the community?
You talking about the LGBTQ?
Yes, sir.
Um, I think I'll take the same approach as your dad.
Okay.
The younger me, and I'll be super vulnerable, and I know the community out there is probably going to be like say something about this, but in the beginning, I said I'll be pissed if my son became gay, right? But at the same time, I used to say this. I say if my son became gay, I'd be pissed. If my daughter became gay, I'd be like whatever. But then I transitioned from that, and I said, well, I'll be okay with if my son's gay, he just better be the giver, not the taker, right? You know,
Yeah.
because as a straight man, like I think that a lot of times, like we don't mean to be facetious or be, mean, but we want to raise, masculine men, right?
Of course.
And we want to keep our bloodline going and stuff like that. And we sometimes feel like a failure if our sons become gay, right? But as we get older and we mature and we kind of just learn, um, I feel like that's their choice. Um, it will be unfortunate only because of my bloodline. I would love for my sons to keep, the Eccles bloodline strong and keep it going. But if they decide to do that, I wouldn't love them less. I wouldn't judge them. You know, yeah, maybe whatever.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
I know you got one more question for me. Fire away before we get out of here.
Let me see. Well, so since you got the kids, so you gonna go ahead and complete everything with a marriage? And can I come sing? Since you've been trying to get me to sing some Anita
Okay, look.
Baker, can I come sing?
If I get married, we'll make a deal right here on camera.
Let's do it.
If I get married, I'll invite you to the wedding, and only if at the reception you sing Anita Baker, your mom's favorite song, Anita Baker, Angel.
I will definitely sing it. I'm there.
And then to answer your question, one day I'm gonna get married again. I've been married before, and I got married to my older children's mother, and I'm not here to bash her or bash anything. I just because of mistakes that I made and mistakes that she made, it just came to a crashing end. It was kind of, even as a man, sometimes we females, they, everybody talks about the female, how it went down for the female, how it affected her, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of times we forget that the man, uh, there's two people in this situation, so two people are affected. No matter who you want to put the blame on, right? I'm not here to put blame on anybody. But no matter who you want to put the blame on, two people are affected. And then if you got kids, then the kids were affected as well. But in the aspect of the relationship, two people were affected. But a lot of times we only focus on the female, right? And that whole situation was traumatizing, right? For me, you know. And so now getting married again, uh, it kind of brings up some kind of anxiety, I like to have peace, right? And so if my relationship right now is peaceful, the thought of changing and going on paper and just for paper reasons saying, or for
Yeah.
like tax benefits or whatever the case may be, saying, okay, now you're officially, Miss Herc, on paper,
Yeah.
Miss Eccles or whatever you want to call it. I think that that's just kind of like it's whatever,
Okay.
but if the time comes and I decide I want to do that, then you'll be one of the first people to know.
That's
But,
what I got one more question.
before you ask that first question, let me just say this too. To all my viewers out there, you guys will probably find out about it after it's done happened. And because if you haven't noticed on social media, I've kind of veered away from, and I want to say this on camera. I veered away from putting my personal life on camera because I feel like social media has ruined relationships. And I'm not talking about the intimate relationships. I'm talking about just your family dynamic, right? Because social media has made it to so easy for people to be a part of your life without actually doing any kind of work to be a part of your life, right? I could post a picture of my sons right now, and then you'd be like, "Oh, well, I know your son. He because you see stuff in the background, you see stuff he's playing with. Oh, he likes Paw Patrol. Oh, he likes this. Oh, he likes this. He likes that. Or he's into this. Or he looks like this. Or he's this kind of kid. He's without you actually ever coming by or picking up the phone and having a
Right.
conversation with him or building some kind of relationship with him. You can easily be a part of his life because of social media. So what I've done, and what his mother has done is we've taken the social media out of it. You want to be a part of our life, you want to be a part of his life, or their lives. You have to come physically do that. You have to pick that phone up.
Understood.
And if you can't do those things, then obviously that's your choice. But just don't expect you to be a part of his life and to be able to call him your whatever, your niece, nephew, cousin, godson, or whatever the case may be. If you're not
All
going
right.
to put the effort in, I don't care. And I don't care how that makes me look or how people judge me for that. It's my job as their father to protect them, and I'm going to do the best way I can do that. So, what's your last question?
All right. Out of everything you've been through, saying throughout your whole life, saying on a scale of 1 through 10, how are you doing mentally right now? From everything you've been through in your whole life, where are you at right now mentally? 1 through 10. 1 through 10.
Hey, listen, man, I'm a 20.
All right. Okay.
And I could say that confidently. A lot of people say that to foreshadow what they really feel inside. Uh, I have literally, I was literally just talking to my brother about this last night, and he gave me a compliment. I didn't know how to accept it at first because he was like, congratulations, and I was like, on what? He was like, on learning the ability to reflect, right? And what I've done is I've learned that, and I even explained this to him, is that I'm instilling this into my children that just because someone has shared the same blood as you, just because somebody was around you from the time for this amount of time, does not mean that they have to continue to be a part of your life, right? So, me personally, sitting here right now, I've removed all negative people in my life. I don't have anybody around me who's negative, and I've learned the art of saying no. I've learned the art of telling people how I've everybody who knows me knows this. I have no quarrels with telling you how I feel, right? And I'm not gonna say I don't care about people's feelings. I'm just not here to protect your feelings anymore, right? Because that's doing you no good and that's doing me no good. Because by me protecting your feelings, I'm literally not worrying about myself. I'm putting you above me, right? Because when you
Yeah.
act how you act and you make decisions you make those decisions based off of how you feel and what's best for you, right? And how that affects me, you could care less. So now I kind of take that same thing and I just say, you know what? If this is how I feel, I tell it to you in the nicest way possible. Like, hey, XYZ, da, 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 and then you know what's up, and we can keep moving forward. However that may be, whether that's us still being, on the same team, or if that means that, you go your way, I go my way, and it be that. So mentally, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed, man.
Bro,
I have some
this
things in
is
my life that in my life story that you'll find out that there's things that I've been deprived of and I wish that could change. But I put that in God's hands. I can't do anything about it. So the things that I can control, I feel blessed about because life's good, man. I can't complain about anything. I got a nice home. I got a nice family. My kids are healthy. I'm not a broke nigga in 2025. you know,
hey,
and
excited.
I have at least a handful of true supporters of this podcast, and people have told me that this podcast has helped them. So to me, I feel blessed to be able to just pro, um, provide a platform for people, like I said, to come on and talk and get things off their chest. So I feel blessed.
What's up? I like that. That's solid.
All right.
Solid.
Well, I appreciate the questions. You guys, like I said, tune in January 10th. It's going to be a live episode where I am going to be interviewed by a special interviewer. I'm not going to say who it is. And it's going to be my life story. That episode will be recorded live. Well, it will be done live, no recording. So meaning that it will not be posted to the YouTube channel. So if you want to watch my life story, you must tune into the live recording. So make sure you guys stay tuned to that. Like I said, follow us on Instagram at Minor Emotions _VDP. Follow us on TikTok at Minor Emotions, the podcast. And if you haven't already, show some love to somebody who you love and support. We out of here. Peace.